Yeah.
Yeah.
She's incredible.
Oh yeah. Her and I have become really close friends. And
Yeah, she's oh shoot. I got the wrong title. Hang on. Hang on. This is Soul Speaks 5D. 5D.
And I apologize for any background noise. My husband's changing the brakes in his truck right outside the window.
No, you're fine. I got no problem with it. I can't hear anything.
We're taking the camper up to Tennessee Monday, so we got to get everything prepped.
Here, let me fix the title on YouTube. I knew I was going to make that mistake. No mistakes. Okay, here we go. This one here, edit, and this is going to be, Soul Speaks. ID. Christine. We'll just give people time to get in here.
I can't believe she already got her copy of the book. I don't know how she got it so quick.
Who's that? Your friend, Millie?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Millie. Millie's cool. I like Millie. She's very cool. She sent me some nice notes, made some nice comments over the years. Okay, let me make sure everything's copacetic. I'm going to pull up the comments. Boom.
Will I be able to see those or no?
Well, what I do is I pull up a window for YouTube and a window for Facebook on my page.
Oh.
And then I just make the Zoom window a little bit smaller so I can see the comments. And I just go back and forth from Facebook to YouTube, checking the comments. All right.
You used to have a different platform, didn't you?
What do you mean?
For these podcasts?
Well, I use a broadcast software, but I'm just using Zoom today.
Okay.
But yeah, we're on Facebook, Todd Medina. We're on Facebook, Soulgy Group, Facebook.
All right. I see. Hi, Anna.
Let me go fix the one in Soulgy. And then we'll get started here. Let's see here. Boom. And boom, here she is right there. Edit. I'll go back and fix this. Soul Speaks 5D. Chris. I'll go back and actually add more text with your book information.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let's rock and roll. I've been itching to get back. So let me just explain a few things to people so they can know what's going on in the Soulgy universe. We have been going through a lot of changes, as everybody has. Is this right? So the Soul Speaks 5Ds have been slowed way down, but they're about to go right back up to where they used to be. Fix that. So let me explain a little bit. So what we're doing before we get into the show, we've got our beautiful sister here with us. She's on a 10-year anniversary, a very special one, and also another big announcement. She's released a book that's we're going to talk about. So obviously we've been going through a transition since March. We've got 20 shows that we have 20 soul producers producing 20 shows, and each one of them is going to have one last spotlight show of the month on social media in November and October. Beginning next month, we will start to have our spotlight shows of the month on the network. So that would mean 1 in 4 shows that we have on the network will be free to the public. I don't want to take up this show with the more details of Soulgy, but if you haven't been over to SoulgyNetwork.com, go take a look. You can see everything that's going on there. You have access to everything. You just can't watch all the videos unless you subscribe, but there's going to be more free material, and we'll talk about that in time. So, Linda Christine, some of you know her as Linda Stansberry. She used to have another name, I can't remember that one. Allison something. Oh, sorry.
Identity crisis.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. We've known each other, I would say probably 3 years, and we've done a few shows together. I've been on her show. She has a great podcast. I really like it. I can't remember the name of it. I just saw an ad for it today. What is the name of it, by the way?
Conversation for the Soul.
Conversations for the Soul. No wonder I like it,
Yes.
because it has the word soul in it. And yeah, I've always had a lot of respect for Linda. I like the way she conducts herself. I mean, not that I'm some kind of, expert on anything, but, I do spend a lot of time studying different platforms, and particularly shows and content of shows and the energy and frequency of shows. And I really like the way that she does what she does. I have the same ascension memory deficit disorder that most of us do. And I'm sure that over the years, or on the shows before, that she spoke of what we're going to speak about today, not the book, but the actual experience of what she went through. That's really the focus of it today. So thank you for coming in, Linda. And it's good to have you back on Soul Speaks 5D. You got a new book out, and maybe you want to tell us what this 10-year anniversary is, and we'll just play it by ear like we always do.
Well, first of all, I want to say I appreciate you, Todd, and there's no one I would rather celebrate this anniversary with online than you. I really love everything that you're doing, and the expansion of Soulology and where it's going. It can go nowhere but up and expand huge. So I'm very excited for you and about all of that. So thank you for having me here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, today is the 10-year anniversary of my last chemotherapy treatment back in 2013. Wow. So that is why I chose to release my book today. This is it, Finding Zen with Cancer. And yeah, and that's what I set out to do when I found out I was diagnosed with cancer. And I feel I've accomplished that. It didn't happen right away, but over the course of the past 10 years, things have truly opened up and expanded for me. And that seemed to be the catalyst for all of that.
So it's 10 years since you had your last chemo.
Yep.
And when did it start? When did you find out you were when did you get diagnosed? Was it like a year before, 2 years, 3 years?
It was that same year. It was back in February of that year. It was probably about 4 weeks before my 49th birthday. And I went in for my annual physical, and the doctor was like, well, let me backtrack a little bit. My father died of colon cancer. My mom's brother died of colon cancer. So it was on both sides of the family. I did the genetic testing. It came back inconclusive, but I don't know that they can really figure that stuff out. But anyway, my doctor was like, did you go get your colonoscopy? And I was like, no, I'm not 50. Insurance isn't paying for it. So I'm not going until I can have insurance pay for it. And the man literally grabbed my hand, walked me out to the reception desk, and said, make an appointment for her for the gastroenterologist. And he said, don't worry, your insurance is going to cover it. And
was that his way of telling you that he diagnosed you?
No, it was because of my family history. He was like adamant that I go get it looked at. And I was like, I'm not 50 yet, and I don't really feel anything. And I never really did feel like I had any problems. So I always say it was caught at the earliest possible moment of the latest stage of stage 3 cancer, if that makes sense. Stage 3. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so, I look back on it now, it was like, wow, how did I orchestrate that so perfectly? Well, because I had no symptoms, went to the doctor, and he told me to go in. And then from there, everything just kind of dominoed.
Well, this doctor, evidently you had some formidable soul contract with him for him to do that. What a great guy. He must feel, incredible about that. You said when you found out that you made up your mind, I think you said something like that, you made up your mind to find Zen. I know not literally, but I mean, that's ultimately how you would describe it. But is that what happened to you? I mean, you said, hey, you know what, this ain't gonna happen, or I'm well, or what happened from that point?
Well, when I was first told I had cancer, it was a shock, as it is for everybody, I imagine, who is told that. And then the idea and the magnitude of having to tell all your friends and loved ones what's going on is daunting. So the Zen part came where I had just gotten out of a very toxic marriage. The divorce was dragging on. I was in a very highly charged, toxic work environment. And I knew somehow I needed to remove those things from my field as I was healing, or I wasn't going to heal.
Wow. So you were on the doing a lot of what people are doing now. So, and I can kind of relate to that, because that's how mine started in 2011, not with a medical condition, but getting, or being separated or detaching from pretty much everything. So you get the diagnosis, and then you took a quick inventory and said, I got to get out of this career. I got to get out of this relationship.
Well, I was out of the relationship, fortunately. Greg had entered my life at that point, thank God, because I couldn't imagine going through it alone, and I couldn't imagine going through it with my ex. It just wasn't, we were not suitable for each other. So yeah, and I lost total track of where I was going with that.
Well, I was saying that okay, well, one way or the other, you were already out of the relationship. You met Greg, but you made the choice to get out of your career.
Oh, yeah. Well, I took a leave of absence from the job, FMLA leave, during most of that year, because to go through the chemo treatments every other week and the toll that it took on my body, it just wasn't going to happen. I wasn't going to be able to go into work. I tried for probably the first 3 months, and I just wasn't productive at all. And I wasn't doing my health any favors by being there. So I did come back to work the following year, and that was my last year there.
So where was and I want to talk about the book, go through the book. I skimmed through it this morning, and but I didn't have enough time to retain a whole lot. But I'm curious as to where was your mindset when that occurred? I mean, what was the evolution of it? I'm sure there was fear and probably life review type of, reflections and self-introspection and self-judgment, maybe projection, but obviously finding Zen, you must have had some points where you, like we're doing now, where you gone through a Stargate or crossed a threshold, and you went, wow, I'm going to be all right, or I'm okay with whatever happens, or whatever.
I always had a very spiritual side to me. A lot of religion didn't resonate for me. It didn't make sense to me. A lot of the dogma just didn't set well. So the Zen part just came with me wanting to be really focused on just my healing during that time. What could I do to heal? I made a little garden in my backyard. I would sit on my screen porch every morning and have my tea. I would do these little things to kind of just bring me into a sense of overall healing the mind, body, and spirit. I still would say I wasn't really conscious though at that point. I didn't have the full-on awareness that I have now. So it was almost like somebody put me on automatic pilot as I was going through it. And I started doing these little practices that then built up and became, part of my lifestyle that I have today.
Do you feel like that, people talk about a walk-in or a higher aspect comes in? Do you feel like that something like that happened in retrospect?
That's interesting you say that, because I kind of think that, but I also wonder if I had any NDEs during that time too, because there were some weeks where I would go through chemo. There was one where I was out for like 2 days. Greg didn't know what the heck. I mean, I would get up and stumble to the bathroom every once in a while, but for the most part, I was out for 2 days after that course of treatment. So I don't know. I really haven't investigated it too deeply.
So this all happens in a few months, 10 years ago, right? And when you came out of it 10 years ago to the month, all right, or to the day or the month, I think, did you feel like you were done? Did you feel like you were clear?
I didn't until I got out of my job. Yeah, because I came back to my job and I had a series of hoops to jump through. I could see the writing on the wall. I was being forced out. My contract was coming up at the end of the year, and I knew specifically to the day when they were going to release me. Intuitively, I knew. No one told me. I just knew. I said, they're going to have me get through this one big project, and once that project's over, I'm out. And it played out just like that. And it's, I have no remorse, no regrets, no nothing over any of it, because sitting back and looking at it now, it's really like so divinely orchestrated.
Yeah. Like you said, do you feel that you had any higher sensitivities or abilities kick in kind of, as you evolved, as you experienced this, and I guess, kind of liberated yourself? Or because it sounds like a microcosm of what everybody, seems to be having to do at some point in time, because it's not linear. But do you feel like that your abilities expanded?
Oh, 100%, full on. As soon as I got out of that job. And the funny thing was, I was in the television industry, and long story short, I had helped Greg change his career path while I was working in the television industry, so he could focus on what he wanted to do and what his dream was. So when it came time for me to leave my job, he did the same for me. He said, okay, now focus on what it is that you've always wanted to do. And at that time, and I still am a professional photographer. So I started to pursue that. And once that space opened up for me to step into my creative self again and fully embody that, and then have the time to focus on myself and the things that really mattered, I started listening more. I started going within more. I started being in nature more. And all of those things just kept expanding me further and further. None of it was overnight, though. I mean, really, over the course of this 10 years, it's all happened.
Wow. And so you met Greg. You were with Greg when this started, but it sounds like it was pretty fresh. Was there, he witnessed this, and as well as, facilitated like the career change and supported and all that. Did it rub off on him? was this like eye-opening for the both of you in terms of like, from a, I guess you would say a metaphysical standpoint or soul standpoint?
When he's spoken about it to me, and it's been quite a while since we've had any conversations around it, but it was very hard for him to see me in that state. We
Mm,
were, to recap, we were high school sweethearts,
that's right.
and
I
then we
remember.
split up and then came back together in the end of 2010. So we had only been living together for a couple of years at that point.
Okay.
So for him to like, okay, we spent all this time kind of pining for each other, knowing that there was unfinished business between us. And then he gets back with me. And then there I am, like, who knows what's going to happen at the end of the year.
Mm. Yeah, that must have been tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And then
go ahead.
8 months later, he gets in a plane crash. So it was just like, okay, we're done with all the near-death experiences here. Now we can enjoy our life.
So at that point, was there talk once you got through what you got through and once the plane crash occurred? And I mean, that's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Was there like, and I can see, I can relate to what you mean by the gradual, like little drips. Sometimes you get a big, something come through. But were y'all talking about, transformation at that point? Were you plugged into some of these communities and stuff like that?
I was starting to be. There was this gal that I went, she had a weekend seminar up in Destin, and I really wanted to go see her and participate in that. And I was able to do photography for her for that weekend as a barter to participate in that weekend, which was amazing. And the energy of all these, when these groups get together, I believe it's always by design, because you get all these souls that like kind of put this Rubik's Cube together. And then all of a sudden there's all this electricity that comes off of it. So I was up there sharing a room with a friend of mine the first night, and I remember dozing off. And it was that lucid dreaming state. And from the right-hand side, there was like this giant comet or something that came in, hit me in the head, physically jolted me, and I fell out of the bed. And I'm like, what the hell was that? I still to this day don't know what it is.
Really?
Yeah. And my friend was in the room. She's like, yeah, it was kind of weird. You like fell out of the bed. And then I guess later on in that night, I was walking around the room, which I have no memory of. And I'm like, that's very uncharacteristic for me. So yeah, things like that started to happen. And I started seeking out these seminars or groups or people online. And they all served a beautiful purpose and kind of leveling up my soul each step of the way.
Mm. The cookie crumb trail home.
Exactly.
So when did you start writing the book? And how long did it take, I guess?
Well, the book is formatted in a way where in 2013, I did a blog chronicling everything that I was going through. That was part of my Zen therapy as well. It was kind of like public journaling, so everybody could see what was going on with me, because I didn't have the energy or the mental capacity to really communicate with a lot of people on a daily basis and had people constantly asking me. So to me, it was a solution that kind of served two purposes. One, as a cathartic release for me, and two, to kind of let everybody know what was going on with me. And how I've always been, I don't hold anything back. So it's pretty raw, pretty graphic in parts.
No, really?
So yeah, it was probably beginning of last year. For some reason, it came back into my awareness. And I'm like, wow, where I was then is so very different than where I am now. And that's when the book just came to be. I just kind of follow wherever I'm led. And if I go, oh yeah, that might be cool to do a book where you go, here's where I was in 2013 with my blog post. And then 10 years later, I'm looking back on that blog post and talking about the transformation that took place, my belief system that's evolved and changed through that time. And then also at the end of each chapter, I have a beautiful prayer or a meditation that kind of ties back into the subject matter of that chapter.
So it kind of took, I mean, when you picked it back up, it doesn't sound like it was too long ago, like in the last year. I think
Yeah, it was last year. It was last year. And I looked around for a publisher for a while. Millie actually connected me with her publisher of her amazing book. And so I called them and they just aligned so perfectly. Their values and their beliefs are very much in line with how many of us in this community think and believe.
Who is the publisher? Who is the publisher?
It's Powerful You Publishing, right here in the back of the book.
Oh, I got it right here. Hang on.
Powerful You Publishing. Yes.
Let me pull up the
Sue and Kathy. Sue and Kathy are they run the publishing company, and their editor Dana is so intuitive and so amazing. So I can't say enough good things about them. If you're gonna go the self-publishing route, but you kind of want a hybrid model where you can get a lot of guidance and a lot of hand-holding, they're awesome. And I know there's a lot of people that have reached out to me this week asking me because they're looking to create a book as well. So
this looks pretty interesting here. I didn't even see the back part of this. This is a no holds barred, raw and raucous portrait of Linda's search for Zen within her diagnosis. So it includes excerpts from her journals and blogs written during her treatment. And 10 years later, she reflects on that journey that has expanded her conscious awareness and awakened her to the spiritual path she walks today. The intention of this book is to inspire, illuminate, and expand the mind and heart of those embarking on their own cancer journey, as well as the loved ones and caregivers of cancer patients. An honest tale filled with ugly truths and deep dives, as well as the light side of cancer. That's a pretty bold sentence right there. So an honest tale with ugly truths. Now, the ugly truths, would that be referring to the physical ordeal?
Yeah. Some of the physical things that I went through back when I was going through treatment.
And the deep dives?
I'll just tell you, there's a chapter called Shat and the Cat.
Shat and the Cat.
So, I'll let you use your imagination on that one.
I don't even want to go there. I don't even know.
No, I didn't want to go there either, but
no, it's
part
cool.
of the ugly truths.
Well, I mean, that's I get what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Poor cat. No, and then this part about the light side of cancer. What would that be?
More of I approach it all with a lot of lightheartedness and humor on my blog. Because that was my only way to deal with it. I kind of get goofy and silly when I'm presented with challenging situations. That's kind of my coping mechanism. So that's what I did.
Sounds like a pretty good method, if you ask me.
Hey, it worked. It worked.
Mm. Did you or have you had, was there, I don't know, how do you put this? I know Greg was there. I know the doctor. And I'm sure there was other caregivers, but did you have any other facilitators or assistants from the physical or the etherical?
My father that had passed from colon cancer, I know he was very present during that whole ordeal. I could sense him there.
Wow.
And I had searched him out for many years prior to that, but I was starting to get those senses to come online. So I could feel the presence there. I wasn't quite as intuitive as I am now, but it was starting to unfold at that point.
And here, now I know because I watch your, sometimes I watch your shorts, when you're reading, right? Is that what you're describing when you say psychic reader on the back page of the book? Are you talking just specifically about that type of reading, or do you do sessions with people and read in that manner? And
I do all sorts of things. I really don't have a clear cut, here is how it's going to go, because each person is different. Each connection is different. Some of the things that are constants in the readings are, I will go out into the forest and I'll connect with that person, or connect with their guides, or whomever wants to come in and share information with me. And I'll record information into my phone. A lot of things that have been coming in for me lately is face reading. I'll look at a picture of a person and I'll be able to tap in and read what's going on with them. What are some things that are potentials for them to look at and examine in their life? I'll grab the cards, I'll pull them out during the course of all of that, and we'll sit there and go through them and see where those lead us if they start to open up other avenues of things to explore. So there's really no set thing. I've had deceased loved ones come in for people and connect with me and say, you know, whatever the message might be for someone. So it varies. And I don't feel the world is cut and dry. You're a psychic reader, you're a medium, you're this, you're that anymore. You are a buffet of all these things, and you will pull and choose from whatever makes sense to assist that person's soul on their journey at that time.
You also talk about, and I don't want to go there yet, because I just wanted to go back to this, the back page of this book. And then I'll go to what I was going to say. Tragedy and trauma hold lessons for us. I believe traumas can be great teachers. My cancer journey taught me perseverance, bringing out my inner warrior. And as I healed from cancer, many glorious gifts unfolded, revealing my true purpose and setting my soul on fire. That was the answer to the question I had a while ago, some of it. Warrior, that's a term that, like many terms, has taken on a new meaning as we've moved into this expanded consciousness. And there seems to be a softness, or a new kind of power that could be characterized in a way with softness, but not weakness. What was that warrior mentality like for you during this period? Were you pissed off? Were you like, like hard, I mean, good, in a good way, hard ego? Like, I know when I went on the street, it was like, man, I'm not stopping for nothing. I'll die. You know what I mean? Like, was it that type of hardcore, like, you know what I mean? Just kind of, I don't want to say aggressive, but, just like in your face, chest out, like, I'm going to do this? Or is that what you're referring to?
It was a lot like that. I truly believe anyone could be given the diagnosis of stage 3 cancer, and that's when cancer's moving in the body. It's left where it originally started, and now it's gone out and it's in the lymph nodes and moving through everywhere. Stage 4 is when it metastasizes into some sort of a tumor. So I believe I could have let myself expire that year if I wanted to. I believe it was an exit point. It was a choice I had, and I chose not to. I chose to say, fuck that, and just, go full steam ahead. Because I mean, I just connected with the love of my life. I wasn't about to leave him. We had
Right.
so many things left to do.
Right. Right. Yeah, I love seeing y'all's energy on social media. It just says a lot. Just the imagery without words, it says a lot, and the words are nice too. You're a very good writer.
Thank
And then
you.
you have the Owl and the Crumb, right?
Yes, yes.
And that's your website though, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
That's-
That's my website. Yep. All my stuff is there. And again, it's a veritable buffet of things because there's not just one thing that I do. Remember we talked about the dragging pictures. I do those still, the
That's
dragon
right. Well, you
reading
sent me one. I think about it. Yeah.
and the soul scripts. I sent you one.
Soul scripts. Yeah.
And my photography, I do a lot of photography for spiritual practitioners. It's a whole different way of going
Now,
into.
how does that? I don't want to get off too much on the book because I really want to go back to the book. But I was going to ask you this earlier. How does that work? How do you incorporate? You say you do photography for spiritual practitioners, healers. Is that like for like their website, stuff like that, or is it?
Yeah, websites, branding, whatever.
Mm.
It's really beautiful because I have the client set an intention for what they want to get out of it. They share that intention with me. I hold that intention throughout the process. During certain sessions, I've had people pull in their guides and we will get beautiful light anomalies in the photos while we're
I was going to
taking
ask you about that too, because over the years, and you see it more and more, people taking, like Robin Redford, her stuff's incredible. And I've seen plenty of others out there too. And I've had it happen on my pictures. I'm sure everybody has. And you're like, oh, that's a light flare. No, is this
they're different.
Is it
Way
our
different.
energy? Like if somebody's like Robin or you is taking a picture and the colors out here, would you say that that's coming from the photographer? I guess in
They're
some way or another it is, but
They're
anyway.
flares, but they're more than that. There's so
course.
much more energetically that's going on there. I think that's an easy way to just kind of go, oh, it's a lens flare.
No.
Yeah, but they're the shapes, the colors, the intensity is so much different. And then you go one more level and you get the orbs that show up. And about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago now, I started seeing orbs showing up in my professional photos, which is like, okay, it's easy to get them with a cheaper camera or a phone, but with the professional equipment, it's much harder. And I did a business portrait for one practitioner, and she had this giant green orb right next to her in the photograph. There was nothing that could explain why that was there. And green's very healing too. So it's neat. It's neat to see.
Do you mentioned that you go out to the woods and connect? That's kind of like part of what you do, or one of the ways you do it. Do you have any particular, essences or, elementals, galactics that tend to be coming around more than others, maybe?
I don't. I've had the Magdalene come in. I had the most recent one, the Collective of Seven, which I've never heard of. I've had, I believe, Octurians come in. It's never the same. It doesn't seem like.
Right. Well, you were saying like sometimes the when you're focusing on a particular client that, their guides will come in. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or their higher self or whomever, a loved
Well,
one.
to me, I mean, because I'm listening to you and I'm feeling it, and to me, I mean, I've had my experiences, and I'm not taking anything away from any of them because they've been phenomenal, but walking around the trees and the wind and, just, being on the earth to me, that speaks volumes.
And
I
those
mean, to me,
trees are, for me, they're antenna. They just intensify everything.
yeah,
I mean, being in nature, you can get so much, but then you can get among the trees. It just seems like it just makes it that much more powerful.
yeah, that's especially now. I mean, when I came back from Sedona a couple of nights ago, and I came in and got here about 8 o'clock, I think, and I was like, man, I'm toast. And I just heard you got to get out and walk. And for about 30, 45 minutes, I probably walked like 10 blocks because I would stop almost at every yard and connect with a tree.
Hmm.
There was so much, and I noticed it was, and maybe it's because I was carrying the charge, or I just came out of Sedona or whatever the case was, but yeah, everything seemed different. They looked different. I could see their roots. I could see that antenna you're talking about. I could feel, it was just whole. This language came in that was always there, but it was like somebody just added like 20,000 words to the vocabulary. And I wonder if that has something to do with what we're stepping into collectively. Do you pay much attention to what's happening collectively, or is yours more of a closer circle type of perspective and journey?
You mean energetically, or?
Well, a lot of people talk about this is happening, this planetary positioning is here, and
Yeah.
of course, I don't think any of us can argue. And I was never a big, follower of it, but eclipses, equinoxes, solstices seem to be carrying more and more power as the days go by. But I just meant like collectively, like collective information.
I do feel things collectively, but I don't know anything about astrology, really. I'm not versed in what eclipses do or phases of the moon or anything like that. But I can feel when there's big shifts. It was interesting this morning. Millie and I were talking, and we were both feeling major anxiety. I'm out on a walk on the country road with my husband, and I'm going, I have so much anxiety this morning. I felt like I was going to crawl out of my skin. And he's like, well, you're just nervous about the book. And I'm like, it feels like something way bigger than that. And then she texts me that afternoon and goes, I have so much anxiety today. And I'm like, what is happening? So something's going on, and maybe somebody in the comments will have some ideas, but there's something, because I can feel it.
I think there's more than something.
Well, there's always something lately, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely ramping up. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt. I don't even want to speculate, but I mean, this equinox was huge, and then being in Sedona was huge, and being with my mother, 84 years old, was huge, and now I didn't even know we were having 2 eclipses this month until last night. So
yeah, I don't think I knew that either.
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, this one
yeah,
on the 14th solar, and the one at the end of the month is lunar, and yeah, it's just
I wonder if
nonstop.
that's the feeling. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you.
No. I think you're to answer your question, because we're telepathing. But I listened in to the first hour of 2 hours of Sandra Walter's October. I'm not sure what she calls them, but she said that. She was saying many of you are probably feeling it already. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she was referring to not just this eclipse, but the one at the end of the month as well.
Well, it feels also like the past probably 4 months, it has felt like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like something is going to be like big. That's going to happen. I have no clue what it is. And I've talked to other people, and they feel the same way. And I'm like, gosh, what's that?
Well, a lot of people talk about that the rest of this year, like some people put it in terms of masculine, feminine, golden child. Some people put it in terms of astrology. But the gist of it being the last 3 months of the year, we're getting used to, I would say, like our natural nature, the way things really operate, the quantum versus the linear, you know, even space seems to be doing some weird stuff. You know, like I was telling you, my mom saw me levitating the last morning on the road.
That's so wild.
Yeah, I appeared at her bed in Sedona. You know, my hair was all wild and wild look in my eyes. You know, and if she's walking in both worlds, and she can't be the only one. And I noticed too when I got home from Sedona, there was like shadows. Like there was a little 20-minute period where I saw these shadows all outside when I was, you know, connecting. And then I looked up in my window in the upstairs apartment and I could see stuff moving up here. And you know, I don't know what that means, but you know I heard what was it? Something like we're coming. The veil's gone. You're going to see us, or something to that effect. I know people have talked about that as well.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, I'm starting to see it with my eyes more and more, like straight on, not just in the periphery. The other day I was talking with somebody and I was looking ahead in my living room and this white mist goes by and I'm like,
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, hello.
So I saw that you put in the comments that there was a little promotion for Soulology.
Oh, yeah. So today, the Kindle version of the book, 99 cents, and this is normally $22, $12.99. If
wow.
you hit that link.
Let me see. So it's normally 22. Oh yeah, I see it right there, 22. So
and I think the Kindle is normally $9, if I'm remembering correctly.
So the Kindle's $9 and it's 99.
Yeah, but the Kindle's 99 cents today. Probably will go away tomorrow morning.
Okay. And then 12 for the book. The
Yes.
flesh and
Yeah.
Very cool. Do you ever even think about it anymore? Do you ever, I mean, like, do you ever go, oh, I wonder if that's, you know, going to come back? Or was it just like done and dusted? Like you said, you had a choice point, you made your choice and on to the next thing.
I had not until I started writing the book. And then I actually had to stop for about 3 months in the middle of writing it because my body started reacting negatively.
Wow.
And I tapped in and my body said it was fearful. It didn't want to go through that again. And I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
I never told my body I'm writing a book. We're not doing this again. This is the past and it will remain there. And we're healthy now and we're good. So I took that time and kind of just tapped in and had to tell, you know, my insides that it was okay. My body was strong. My body was healthy. Yeah. So that opened up a whole nother level of awareness there. Because I just didn't think I had to tell my body, but my body needed to hear that.
Wow. That's a great takeaway, because a lot of people have talked about the voice of the body and the relationship with the body, certainly this year. And if memory serves me correct, I heard a lot of it last year. I experienced a lot of it. And I know it goes without saying, you developed a more intimate relationship with your body through that experience. But it's interesting that you bring this up now with everything that's happening in the embodiment, spirit, flesh. Do you talk to your body a lot?
I hadn't until last year, and now I do. You know, if I start to feel a little bit off, I try to figure out, okay, where is that coming from? What is lacking? What does the body need? I listen to it and try to basically say affirmations that I'm healthy, I am strong, you know.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, we spend time saying I am light, I am peace, I am oversoul. But the truth is, that's what I love about the whole nature thing. Given there's other things, the orbs you talk about and stuff that come around and the things that are coming in. But I like to laugh too, looking at things. And I always say, all this time we've been looking everywhere and it's right in front of our face, which is the trees and the wind and our bodies. Our bodies are HQ. It's a home headquarters. So, you know what I mean? So why wouldn't we address that universe within us? I mean, it makes total sense. I'm glad you mentioned that.
And getting out in nature is, there's a chapter about it in my book too, because towards the end, my treatments got further and further apart because my blood wasn't responding to the treatment. So my white count would drop drastically and I couldn't have the chemotherapy cocktail if my white count was low. And so there was a way to artificially inflate that, but then you can't do that too often. So it was a real balancing game with the body. I developed neuropathy in my feet and in my fingertips. I still have that today.
What is that? What is
It's a numbness.
Oh, a numbness. Okay.
Yeah, like I used to drop things all the time because my fingertips just didn't have, a lot of feeling. The nerve endings were all dead. And in my feet, it's some of it's come back, but it's still there. So spending time in nature and cleaning up my home, what I would eat, what I would use to clean, even my cat gets healthier food now. We're all
So you
trying
became more conscious of not just what you ate, but actually what you had around you as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do well all the time. I still like to go out and have a glass of wine or,
Well, we are human beings.
Have a good meal. Well, and that's part of it too. I mean, I think my dad came to me through a psychic once shortly after this happened, and he had saw that I made a big pot of chili, and the psychic goes, "Oh, he loved that chili you made the other night. He really misses that." And it's so funny, you don't think of it. You're on the other side. Yeah, it's great. You're this etheric being, but you don't get the good food. You don't get the drink. You don't get the trees.
Right?
Yeah. So we should enjoy it. I mean, in moderation, but we should enjoy it. We should not deprive ourselves.
Well, and there's a lot to be said for that. I know I've talked to people on the show and they've talked about, getting to the other side and our soul fam, saying, "Hey, what did it feel like? What did it feel like?" And they're talking about the intense, like what you went through. They're not talking about the lovey-dovey, high, fluffy love and light, high, I mean, that's obviously that's there. It's here. It's so dense and, and especially emotionally. And I think, when I think about what you wrote and then reflect on my own experience, those moments, those curled up in the ball moments, those what WTF moments, the ones that you think that if you, I don't know, scream loud enough, yell loud enough, it'll go away. And then you're just like, oh, it's still here. And you're like, okay, well, here we go. It's so funny how those things are actually the gold.
Yeah.
They really are. They really are. And the other thing that comes to mind, and I've had to really be, vigilant with myself to not be out of compassion, because I feel like I'm always been a very compassionate person, but I've had to work on my tolerance because of things like what you've experienced and other things that I'm, privy to that occur. We've had a lot of people transition, all of us, in the last, couple of 2-3 years. It's not uncommon for us to see that, young people, etc. But, and I think to myself, why get worried about the things? Why the drama? You know, why all the BS? I mean, it could be gone in a moment.
Yeah.
It could, and then we're going to be up there going, man, I wish I had some of Linda's chili. Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel like
Exactly.
that, do you feel like, I mean, given all the stuff that's out there and the stuff that we're all self-sourcing more and more and more, do you, especially after, what you've done in your transformation involving the body, do you feel like that we'll grow younger and we're entering a phase where these things that were once miraculous, if you, if you will, you know, instant healing. I mean, I know a lot of cases of instant healing, but you know what I mean? Like we're in a few years, we're all going to be, buff and 28-year-old bodies and, that type of thing. How do you feel about that stuff? Being able to travel with your body and things like that.
Oh, the traveling, that would be great to just be able to like astro project anywhere on the planet. That would be awesome. I keep holding out hope for that kind of reverse aging kind of thing. I would like to see that happen, but maybe it starts mentally first, because I do feel like I am probably in the best health that I've been in a long time. When I went through cancer and Greg had his plane crash, we made a pact with each other that we were going to enjoy life to its fullest. We were going to do everything. We were not going to wait until X, Y, or Z to happen first. We were just going to do it. So we really tried to live that way. Well, we both started packing on about an extra 30 or 40 pounds after that good living. So we got rid of that last year and have really focused on a certain, dietary regime. And I will say I feel stronger than I have in the past 10 years. I'm way more active than I've been in 10 years. My hair is growing back. So I have these little tufts that stick out because they're coming back. So, and I think it's different for everybody. Everybody's going to respond differently to certain eating protocols and lifestyle, changes and shifts. But I found something that works well. And so maybe there's something to that. Maybe it'll just keep reversing, I hope.
I'm hoping too, because my hair is falling out like a hot knife through butter. But I have heard of a lot of people, women in particular, that I would say are in our age group that have lost hair and then it eventually starts coming back.
Yeah.
So there must be something to that. Let's go back here one more time. Boom. Yeah. So, well, I mean, I know that we're going to do this again and again and again. I just know, well, I don't know the full extent of our collaborations, but I just always known. I think I might have even mentioned that to you before. And I just have to say again, I really like your show.
Thank you.
Conversations of Soul. I really do. And then let's just restate this. So this book, which is about your experience, is $22. It's $12 today, 12 and change. Yep. And then it's 99 cents on Kindle when it's normally like $9 or $10. So I think,
and I don't think, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't think you necessarily have to have cancer or know somebody with cancer to be able to get something out of the book, because it really probably touches, 50% of it's on the cancer journey, but the other 50% is the spiritual journey.
Absolutely. It's just, it's the, well, it's your story. It's, it's your story of transformation and awakening and love and everything else. And I got to say too, I read through some of it, and you're a very good writer, by the way.
Thank you.
You really are. I'm not just saying that. And I think you put this together really well. This is a nice cover, and yeah, because energy speaks. Energy speaks. And you look like you're in great health, and you look beautiful and wonderful and happy. And I think that's the best thing that we can do for ourselves and everybody. We can talk, we can discuss things, but we're like tuning forks more than ever. And whether we're conscious of it or not, that's the only contagious element that has my attention on this earth.
And I have to say, shows like this, I mean, every Soulology that I've ever listened to, and I've listened to many since like 2019, I've learned something from them. And those stories are the best teachers. And I live by that. So everybody, share your story. Don't act small. Don't think that, oh, it's just me, nobody cares about what I'm doing. No, because chances are you have a very interesting story that's going to teach somebody or help them unfold to a different level of awareness.
I agree. I think it's a lot like people, well, like my mom. My mom knew she had to go to Sedona. She had some medical news, and she's like, I don't care, I'm going. I'm supposed to go. And on the way back, I said, how was it? She said, it was wonderful, it was beautiful, but I wish I would have gone higher. Because she met like people, like, Sedona people that are, incredible, have certain specificities, right? And I said, I'm walking with a master here. I mean, her level of intuitiveness, and it's not spoken. That's a Claire. And so I think a lot of people look at, oh, they can channel, and they can do light language, and they can do this and that. And I think, we underestimate ourselves. I guess that's just another part of the whole journey of reaching that full quotient of self-love, that we don't have to say these things anymore. And you're right, every one of these stories is important. It's like the universal mosaic in the most dense environment, we might add. But we're turning this thing around. So.
Now, was your mom always spiritual or consciously awake? And
well, she had South Texas, and being Hispanic, very dogmatic, Catholic, shame, family lineages. But yeah, she always had. One thing is, even though, like most of us, I was estranged from my family. I was the weird, I was the crazy one. I was this and that. But I always knew that she knew. Like, I always knew that she knew I was onto something. And so it's been a real pleasure reuniting with her after not talking for 6 years. And then we've been on a journey since Mother's Day, basically.
oh,
And I'm actually moving back in with her. I'm going to move her out of independent living and back into her home. And I'm going to set up a Soulology office there. And when I'm out of town, just told her we'll make sure somebody will be there with her. Mm-hmm. So she's a Soulology community member now. She's like, I want to help Soulology. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It is awesome. And you're awesome, and Greg's awesome, and y'all are awesome together. And
thank you.
Yeah, I look forward to collaborating with you in ways that we discussed and other ways. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time. Okay.
All right. Sounds good, Todd. Bye, everybody.